Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. This video is actually the first in a series of 4 videos I'm putting together to try to share with you the exciting developments in the journey in ministry to youth pastors that he has me on. Very excited about the things that God has been doing, and want to thank you for those of you who have been really with me on this journey from the beginning. And thank you for your prayers, and especially those who have been partnering with us financially. We couldn't be doing what we're doing or looking ahead to what we're going to be doing without you. So thank you very much for that. As we look back over the last year and a half, starting with our transition away from New Life Church in Woodbury onto more regional focus youth ministry, youth pastor ministry called Allies, and then the prompting from the Lord to start our own ministry called Enhanced Ministries, really focusing on serving and supporting and mentoring and coaching youth pastors. We see a common thread of God's hand in this. And each time, each transition, each different tweak that's happened as God has continued to refine my calling and really an understanding of the details of what that is supposed to look like, we're just so excited because we see that God is in control. We see that He has been leading this, and without each of those shifts and subtle changes and sometimes major faith steps, without those, we would not be in a position like we are right now and have the story that we're about to share. Many of you know that in December of 2013, I branched out on my own and started a ministry called Enhanced Ministries. Part of that was because really starting my own thing was the only path that was illuminated at that time. That was the only thing that we could see that God was doing and leading us to. But looking back on it, we see that He had us step out in faith to do that so that there would be the urgency and the need to begin to connect with other people and to make more strategic partnerships and relationships in pursuit of being positioned, and my prayer has always been to be positioned for maximum influence for God's kingdom. And so as a result, I began having conversations and asking people if they'd be willing to get together and talk. And really 2 questions I was asking. Question number 1 is, what coaching do you have for me as I branch out onto a ministry of really focusing on mentoring and coaching youth pastors? And the second question was, how do I get in the game? And on some levels, kind of trying to throw myself out there to see if anybody would say, yeah, Matt, let me take you under my wing. I've got these connections, I've got these systems, and let me train you to do that. And as I followed the Lord and had those conversations, I met a lot of great people. Met some really influential people here in the Twin Cities area, and then also began to get connected with people around the country. I remember one day I was talking to Pastor Brian Schulenberg, and he's at Woodbury Community Church, and this was probably in mid to late January of this year. And Brian is an ideation guy. He always has a ton of ideas and really great things for me to do. And one of the ideas that he gave me that day was to get in touch with a guy named Dan Webster. And Dan is based over in the Michigan area, but Dan has been doing coaching and consulting with churches for a long time. So I sent Dan a pretty random out of the blue email saying, hey, I'm Matt Swigart. I lead this ministry called Enhanced Ministries. I'm looking for any coaching that you've got, and how do I get in the game? And the next day, Dan sends me back an email. And he said, Matt, I celebrate your calling. I would love to get in touch with you. And in the meantime, as we were going to be setting up a time to connect, in the meantime, you should get in touch with a guy named Bo Boschers. And so I turned around after getting that email back from Dan. I sent Bo the very same email I sent Dan, only this time saying, Dan Webster told me to get in touch with you. And the next day after that, Bo Boschers gives me a call. Well, Bo was the youth pastor at Willow Creek Church in Chicago for 20-something years, and now leads an organization called LEAD222. And we talked for about 40 minutes that day, and the first half of it was me sharing my heart and my story and where I've been, in as a youth pastor, and then the journey that I've been on since then. About halfway through that conversation, Bo says, Matt, I love your heart. Anything that I can do to help you, I will. But let me ask, why are you doing this alone? Why don't you just join my team and let's do this together? And that was a really interesting thing because in my mind, I was thinking, man, I was kind of hoping that you would ask me that, and I even said that to him. And because I'd had a couple people say to me, Matt, I think it's not a good idea to be alone. And deep down in my spirit, every time somebody said that, I was like, I know I don't want to be alone. And I'm praying that God would bring either somebody to walk alongside me and do this ministry together, or create the opportunity for me to connect with another ministry or organization. And as it turns out, LEAD222 is a great fit. Everything from coaching youth pastors to speaking at camps to facilitating short-term mission trips, these things that have been sweet spots for me in ministry for years. LEAD already has established. And in one of my next videos, I'll explain in greater detail what my job description is. But the big thing that I want to get across in this video is that God has been up to something. He's been moving me and positioning me so that I'll be in a spot where I can have these conversations and have the freedom to really respond to the new calling that God has on my life. And really the calling is the same. When I moved on from being a youth pastor, it was to go and be a pastor to youth pastors. And over the last year and a half, God has really refined what that looks like. He's refined in me just deeper levels of maturity and character and wisdom. And now he's positioning me as a regional director for LEAD222. It's based in Chicago, but my region is the Twin Cities and beyond as time moves forward. And I'm so excited and so blessed for what God is doing. Thank you again for your partnership, for your encouragement, for the blessing that you have been in reading my updates, in blessing and serving and supporting my family. You are deeply loved and appreciated.